John Bush here with my lovely wife, Catherine Bleish, aka the Bit Mom.
Howdy.
It's a SovereignBTC podcast update of the Uncoinventional Living Tour. This is our fourth day on the road. We're leaving Asheville, North Carolina, on our way to Washington, D.C. for Bitcoin in the Beltway. No, we're recording. It's not a coyote. We're recording a podcast, my love. We are driving up to the belly of the beast, the Den of Vipers, Washington, D.C. Heading to the event. We had some interesting mishaps the past couple nights. First, 2 nights ago, before we made it up to Asheville, or where were we going?
We were on our way to Atlanta.
On our way to Atlanta.
And we stopped in Montgomery, Alabama to eat dinner.
Montgomery, Alabama. We stopped in there to get some grub, and we ran into a problem that you may find if you're doing like we are and using only Bitcoin as you travel. I don't know if you're crazy enough to do that, but we checked out the maps. We saw TGI Fridays, which is a pretty cool restaurant. They're found on gift.com, GYFT.com, which is a service that allows you to purchase gift cards with Bitcoin. We've been using it pretty frequently on this trip. So we went to the spot. It was getting late, maybe like 8-ish, 8:30, and everyone was hungry. And we show up, and sure enough, that the place is closed down. So, unlike using cash, we weren't able to just drive across the street to the next restaurant we saw. We had to sit there and strategically find a place on maps to go eat that would accept Bitcoin or gift cards through Bitcoin on gift. So we found an Applebee's, and we went there, and by the time we got there, the kids were pretty restless, and one of them fell asleep. Our other one, our youngest Bill, had a pretty crazy time at dinner. So that's, I guess, part of the trials and tribulations on using Bitcoin. You know, we can't just go to the next shop next door. We gotta strategically find a place. The options are limited, so it's one of the things we've been coming into, one of the problems we've been finding.
Well, and I think in the future, now that we know, that obstacles like this can happen, we will make sure to find 2 options for dinner. So that way, if we show up and it is shut down, because it showed up on Google Maps, there was no way for us to know that it shut down unless we had called. Maybe we should call. Maybe that's the lesson. Pick 2 places, make a phone call beforehand, and it does take a lot of pre-planning and a lot of diligence. You know, I had pre-planned places to eat and gas stations for the whole trip on the way up, but inevitably, especially with children, we are running behind every single day, so we have not made a single one of our dinner stops. And yeah, so that's been interesting, and it's definitely been an obstacle, but it's, while it's kind of been a little stressful in that regard, it's been tolerable as long as we know, as long as we know moving forward that we need to just be super strategic and call ahead.
Ideally, we would have had more time to prep for the whole trip and map it all out even more with multiple stops with alternatives, but we just ran out of time, as we always do.
I mean, I think mapping out the whole trip with gas station stops, addresses, and restaurants was pretty decent planning. I mean, I spent weeks and weeks planning it, but ultimately 8 hours of planned driving plus stops turns into 11-hour trips. And with kids, you got to stop when you don't plan to, and things just get a little wonky. So I think on-the-go planning is probably more realistic than super pre-planning.
Spontaneous or
yeah, but just being aware,
options.
Like, okay, we're coming up on a town in 30 minutes. Let's pick the places now, not as soon as we're pulling into town, if that makes sense.
So along the way, Expedia began accepting Bitcoin. They announced it a while back. We were excited about it, and I guess they just actually launched the program. So last night, instead of using our global hotel card by Orbitz that we've used the past few nights, we decided to use Expedia. We found a place, extended stay suite. It's really affordable. We booked the room. We paid with Bitcoin. We checked out. They use Coinbase, not BitPay like we've been using. It took a little while longer to confirm or to come through as a reservation. I don't know if Coinbase has a little longer confirmation times than BitPay, because BitPay is instant. Or maybe the Expedia backend is not as intuitive as the using Gift, which is pretty simple, and it happens instantly. So we got the place. We didn't see the confirmation come through on the internet on the back end of Expedia, so we called the place, come to find out that they didn't have the room with the double bed or a king size bed that we need for the 2 kids, and all they had was smoking rooms.
Boo.
So that ended up being a big disaster, and we called Expedia to check and see if the actual Bitcoin went through. And there's a whole nother angle we're dealing with Bitcoin, because once you send that transaction, and unless you can get a hold of the people at Expedia, your Bitcoin is out of your wallet. It's not coming back. So thankfully we were able to get a hold of someone. It was a call center, so it was someone that, you know, they weren't the best communicator. Took a really long time. They finally put us through with someone that was able to find us another place using our same credit that we had paid with Bitcoin. But it was like 50 minutes later, and by now it was like 1 a.m. and thankfully the kids were asleep in the back, but we ended up sitting around at a gas station for like 45 minutes while we waited on hold for them to transfer us to a specialist to find us another place. So it was a total pain in the butt.
I was so tired that I actually started crying to the lady. I was just like, please, just find me a place to lay my head. It's 1 a.m. We've been driving for 4 days, 3 days at that point. We just did a screening. We just, you know, had to entertain a bunch of people, and our children are sleeping in car seats in the back of the car. We just want to go to bed. We were so tired. At that point, I didn't really care, you know, where it was, but we needed somewhere to sleep. And it was a major, major jam up. But I'm not sure if that was a result of it being a Bitcoin purchase or just Expedia or the hotel itself. But
it was the hotel put false information into the Expedia system or whatnot. Had that hotel actually had the room, then we would have just been able to go right in. It would have taken a little longer. There's a little bit of uncertainty through I guess because of the confirmation. I'm not exactly sure, but on the good news is they ended up giving us a $25 discount on the room, and they gave us a $100 credit to our Expedia account.
And they bumped us up to a hotel that cost over $100 more per night. It was really nice.
Yep.
Fancy pantsy.
Yeah, it was like a $170 hotel. We've been staying in hotels that are like $100. You know, you could definitely tell the difference in the levels of quality. So that was our first experience with Expedia. It wasn't the smoothest. We're going to try it again, of course, mainly because they gave us the credit, but we'll definitely report back on how that Expedia is working. Here's some cool news on a hotel stop in New York City. We're in talks with Charlie Shrem, whom, if you've heard, is working with the Holiday Inn in Brooklyn, New York, to do a pilot program for Bitcoin acceptance, and we're going to stay at that hotel after Bitcoin in the Beltway. So we'll definitely report on what that experience is like. We're excited to try that out. That's a hotel that's directly taking Bitcoin. So we're going to try to find as many places, restaurants, stops along the way that are actually taking Bitcoin so we can directly pay with Bitcoin. I think that's a lot more exciting, a lot more fun, and that's the way it should be. But in the meantime, as more adoption takes place, gift.com, GYFT.com, is something that you can utilize in order to use Bitcoin more often and reduce your use of Federal Reserve notes. Let me give a quick plug for Bitcoin in the Beltway. You still got time to make it up there, especially if you're in the Northeast. Go to bitcoinbeltway.com. Jason King of Sean's Outpost is putting that event on. Catherine and I will be screening episode 4 of Sovereign Living, the Bitcoin episode. MK Lords will be speaking. Jason King will be speaking. Jeffrey Tucker, Cody Wilson. There's a lot of radicals. It's going to be a wonderful Liberty and Bitcoin event. I think those two go hand in hand, as we often say on the program. 2 peas in a peaceful pod. So if you have the opportunity to check that out, go ahead and check it out at bitcoinbeltway.com. They're still selling tickets. You still have an opportunity to come on out.
John and I also have a friends and family special discount code. So if you're last minute and you're feeling like it costs a little too much to go, you could shoot me an email at cat.bleish@gmail.com and I can send you that link. It's a half price code for 50% off, which will get you in for $200, I believe. And also, if you have any kids, tomorrow we're having the Bitmom meetup, where we are going to meet in the lobby around 6:30, and we are going to walk over to a park. It's about a 20-minute walk, and they're screening Legally Blonde 2, which I'm not really into the movie, but I'm into bringing the kids.
I like Legally Blonde, the first one. I enjoyed it.
I've never seen Legally Blonde 2, but apparently it's related to DC somehow. So we're going to be walking over there with all the kids that are in attendance, and we're going to hang out, have a picnic, blow some bubbles, play with some those bracelets that glow in the dark, and watch a movie. It's going to be great.
We hope you enjoy the updates at the conference. We're going to be interviewing a lot of the speakers and bringing you their news and views and insights. I'm going to be doing that at PorcFest as well, Porcupine Freedom Festival, porcfest.com. So if you want to follow along the written blog, Kat's doing an awesome job doing live blogs, like 5 to 10 a day through Bitcoin Magazine. We're going to be we're going to try to do a daily update here on the podcast, SovereignBTC. So check out Uncoinventional.com to follow our antics. And we're going to let you go because I just exited at the wrong exit. Peace and freedom. Oh, as I always say, use Bitcoin, live free, and prosper.